Hi, my name is Emily. Just want to say hi. I'm going to do a video shortly, but just want to say hi. I have to think of what I want to say, so once I'm ready, I'm going to add this clip, this mini clip, to the video. Okay, thank you. Love you guys. Bye. Hi, this is Emily, as promised. So I really didn't give much thought as to what I want to talk about, so I'm going to speak impromptu, I guess. As a spoken word artist, I'm used to that. When I get an idea in my head, I just talk. I wasn't always like that. I remember taking speech or public speaking, in high school, and you had to get up in front of an audience and you had to talk about something, but you could plan it out or write notes. But for some reason, I find it easier if I just talk. Whatever comes to mind, I just say it, talk about it, I guess go into detail, whatever. And I notice also as a spoken word artist, it's a good skill to have because you don't have anything planned. Basically, you're just talking. And then, of course, I'm a writer, so sometimes I read right off of my writings, So that's also another way to speak, but as you can see, I have no writings. I'm not working off anything. I've always been amazed by actors and actresses who do movies and how they memorize their lines and say it on key. I'm sure, though, there may have been blunders, but they don't stop if it's going well, or people don't exactly follow their lines, and somehow it works out, may cause an actor or an actress to get caught off guard, but they're professionals, so I guess they think, what immediately what they should say or do. So I'm sure that's happened in the past. But anyway, I've been going through some things. I had an accident. I'm not going to belabor the point. I've put up many pictures. I did some videos, so I don't need to keep rehashing that. I am maybe going to have surgery, which I've been waiting for quite a while. This actually will be the 5th attempt, or the 6th. I kind of lost count because of my hospitalizations before surgery. I'll be honest with you, as much as I want to do the surgery, I am somewhat nervous. I guess that's normal. And then I have to deal with the fact that I'm going to have to recover for like 3 months. So technically, if that's the case and I have surgery as it's originally scheduled now for September 10th of this year, 2019, and I have to recover for the next 3 months with bed rest and not drive a car, well, that's not a problem right now because I don't have a car since it was totaled in an accident. That wasn't my fault, but yeah, I can't drive for 3 months, and I have to have bed rest, and I have to have friends that can stop by and check to see if I'm doing okay. I'm not supposed to get around much, and I'm also supposed to do maintenance following the surgery a week after. So that's another thing I'm going to have to deal with, and that's kind of painful, I would imagine. Plus, I'm not kind of used to that. So it's an experience, and I look at it this way. I can either go forward with the surgery, or I can walk away from the surgery. I have a friend in England who's much younger than I am. We've been friends for a while now through Facebook, going on 8 years or 9 years. And she looks up to me. She likes the fact that I'm going through the same thing that she's going through. And I'm older, so I can share life experience with her. She's 24, I'm 58. I came out at 51, and my world fell apart essentially. But I've said all that before, so I don't have to rehash that. the thing is I'm very isolated. I have a few friends, and I have some Facebook friends that I chat with. That helps me. There's some even from my cross-country team, and some from high school where I didn't even know the person in high school, but we've become friends ever since. And she actually attended a celebration party for me, along with about another half a dozen other people who came when I came out. So I've become good friends with her, and she helps me. She gives me support. So I think that's important when you have a good friend like that. And I do have some really good friends. So I value my friendships. I try to be a good friend too. But right now I'm isolated. I struggle with depression. I have bipolar disorder. In January, unfortunately, I wasn't feeling well at all. I was nervous, anxious, unable to sleep. So I overdosed on prescription medication, wound up in the hospital, unconscious for 2 days. I almost died. If a friend didn't come to my house unexpectedly, thank God he just happened to be in the neighborhood, and he stopped with 2 other guys. And actually, it was really like a scheduled meeting with my friends from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons. And they're the nicest people I've ever met. I've went to a few church services there, met some nice people, and these guys would come to my house. They had some, like turnover, where 1 or 2 of the people that would come would then go to another congregation. So it was kind of sad in a way, because you get used to these people. But the 3 guys that came to visit me when I was like in bad shape, I heard the door. I didn't even know what was going on. I managed to get to the door, and as soon as they saw me, I fell into one of the guy's arms, and he caught me. And then they called 911, and I was taken to the hospital. And I have no recollection of that. The only thing I remember was falling through the screen and getting caught, and then someone screaming, "Call 911, it's an emergency." And then the police and paramedics came. I don't even remember that. It was like I was blacked out. So I had amnesia basically for 2 days. And I learned that there was a nurse or a doctor who came to interview me to see what was going on. And in the medical report, she said I kept going in and out of consciousness. She asked me a question. I'd answer it, I guess, somewhat incoherently. Then I would fall asleep again, and she'd call my name, Emily, and I'd wake up again, ask me another question, and then I'd fall asleep again. And this went on for like an hour. I didn't even know. And then she came to my room the next day, and she asked me how I'm feeling, and I said, I guess I'm okay. And she said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, no, I don't remember you. And she said, "Well, me and my colleague were asking you questions, and I presumed that you wouldn't remember me because you kept going in and out of consciousness." So it was weird, for 2 days I had no recollection. It's scary. I would never do that again. It was too crazy, but luckily I survived. And then with this recent car accident, the first cop on the scene asked me if I did this deliberately, and if it was a suicide attempt. And I said, no, it wasn't. I wouldn't crash my car like that. So I told him that there was something wrong with the accelerator. I got stuck. I couldn't do anything. I went to the brakes, nothing. And I was coming up to a car in front of me. There was a car behind me, cars to the left of me. Luckily I was in the right lane. So to avoid the car in front of me going 40 miles an hour, it would have been a deadly impact. So I knew I had to do something, so I swerved to my right. I didn't know where I was going to wind up. And the car was out of control. I hit the curb, slightly airborne, and right before I made impact, I was preparing to die. And then I hit trees, knocked down a fence, and crashed into bushes. And luckily, that was what I hit, because the bushes cushioned the car and brought it to an immediate stop. Then my airbags obviously deployed, both. I'm lucky my son wasn't in the car with me. And I was coming home from a beautiful picnic in honor of my cross-country coach and seeing my former teammates, which was wonderful, and they all accepted me as Emily, which that was really nice. And I had a great time, but the day was bittersweet, because as much as I had a great day at the picnic and seeing my old friends, I got into this horrific car accident. My car is totaled. The insurance is working with Toyota. Luckily I have the collision, because it's a new car, basically, a year and a half. And I have gap insurance, so they're working out the deal. My concern though now is, am I ever going to get back driving? I hope to God I can, because right now I'm homebound and I'm very depressed. And I used to always go out. I'd say, Maddie, you want to go see a movie? And we'd go out, get something to eat. You know, it was fun. Now I can't even go out. And then when my son would go to the day program after I dropped them off, I'd go to Roosevelt Field, hang out, eat at the food court. And now I can't even do that. So I'm hoping, praying that I'll be able to have my insurance still in place, and that it's not going to skyrocket my premiums, and that I'll be able to find a way to get a car, you know, but a much more cheaper, reasonably priced car. And I'm going to have to bring my friend who knows about cars, because every time I buy a car I get ripped off. I'm too gullible or too naive. You know, I bought this Prius C, the lower end of the Prius models. The sticker price was like $26,000, and I wound up paying $35,000 for this car with these additional add-ons. Luckily, I did get the gap insurance though. That was a blessing in disguise. And I also had the option for the Cirrus radio, but it expired after 3 months, and I didn't renew that. So it's tragic. I lost my car, totaled, but at least I survived, and I didn't hit anybody, thank God, because that would have been catastrophic. But this is happening, you know. I have no way of avoiding this, you know. It's part of life. And now that I'm, you know, possibly going to have surgery in September, if all goes well, that's something that I'm nervous about too, you know. But it's something that I've been wanting since I was 16, basically. But I can't complain about my life. I got married. I have a son I love, even though he's got lots of struggles. He's disabled. He's got autism. And I would say mental illness as well. I have mental illness, unfortunately. I wasn't diagnosed for that, or bipolar disorder. I just knew something was wrong, and I never got diagnosed for gender dysphoria until I knew something was wrong with me since I was 3, but I never got a formal diagnosis. And my son got diagnosed with autism at around 3, so it's similar, weird, that he got diagnosed with autism, and I knew I was different at 3 when I was gravitating towards girls' clothes. So I struggled for a whole lifetime. I tried to stop. There were times when I did stop for a number of years, especially when I got married, and then we had a son. But then stresses of life, I would always come back to that, you know, and I'm much happier in feminine clothing, and it's not just like I'm a cross-dresser. It goes way beyond that, because I identify as a female. It's hard to explain this to people because they don't get it. You know, even my sisters, and one of my sisters is like she's a medical nurse practitioner, So you would think she would learn about this, especially she's working on a PhD. You'd think she'd learn about all this, but she seems to be ignorant or transphobic. So she doesn't call me, really. She doesn't talk to me. She didn't even call me after my accident, my car accident. I'm pissed because, if your sisters don't seem to care, then who else is going to care? Luckily, I have some friends who care, but I'm really angry with them. My other sister, she just sent a text and she said, God, I'm glad you're okay, and that was it. She didn't want to go beyond that. So it's hard, and then they don't really accept me because I'm transgender. And so family sometimes doesn't support you. I even have family relatives that I know on Facebook, and they didn't mention a word. They're more concerned, like if a dog died in somebody's family, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I have nothing against dogs. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But they seem more upset when one of their friends' dogs dies than they are that I'm in a very, very bad car accident. And God forbid I die. Would they even care? Who knows? I don't think so. And that's a horrible thing to say and think about. But they've shut me out since I came out 7 or so years ago. They never invited me to a family function. No graduation parties I was invited to. No birthday parties they never invited me to. And before I transitioned, we were always welcome. We were always invited. No Christmas party celebrations with us. No Easter. And I know last Easter they had gotten together, both my sisters and their families. You think they'd call me and ask me to come too? No, they didn't. So I'm so angry with them. If it was if the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't hold anything against them. I would completely embrace them and accept them because that's the way I am as a person. But they don't act like I do. I was born to understand and accept people. There are all kinds of people. And I remember when I was growing up, I had a friend who was 14 or 15, and he was drinking alcohol and he was smoking cigarettes and then gravitated to pot. And I said, look, this isn't good, this isn't healthy for you. But I didn't judge him. I was just concerned as a friend. And I said, you need to get help, you can't just drink. You're so young, you're 14, why are you doing this? And I tried my best to try to penetrate his mindset. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. And then he moved with his family, and then we lost touch. So I really have no idea what happened to him. All I can wish for is that he straightened himself out, and things like that haunt me because I want to know if he's okay, and I have no idea. I don't have any idea how to reach him. I tried to find him on Facebook, but he's not on Facebook. Hell, I don't even know if he may have died, so what can I do, And then I had friends who sadly died in car accidents that really destroyed me emotionally. A 17-year-old friend of mine got killed in a car accident. I've had a couple of high school friends who committed suicide. I mean, it's tragic, And I almost committed suicide myself. So life is hard, but we have to forge on. We have to do the best we can, That's the way it is. I have a son, and I need to be there for him, and I feel guilty about my suicide attempt in January. And I spent my 58th birthday in the hospital, recovering, so... And then another crazy thing I did when I was in the hospital was, you're not going to believe it, or maybe you will, I don't know. But I was, I was alert again. Uh, and I remember being in the bathroom and I saw this cord hanging from the shower. So I was kind of curious. I'm wondering what the heck is a cord doing there. So I was broken down, hearted when Kurt, Kurt Cobain too, but that was many years ago, decades ago. But recently, Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, Richard Jenny, and Amy Winehouse through drug addiction. When these people who you love die and they're celebrities and they have lots of money, they have fame, fortune, and they unfortunately are just like us in the sense that they struggle with depression. So depression is really a serious issue, and I believe society hasn't realized that. They discount that. Even when I got in the accident, all the lawyers that I called, they can't represent me because I didn't get fucked up with injuries. They're concerned if I broke my leg or I went through the windshield or my face is bloodied up. Well, they're personal injury attorneys, I guess, so they represent people who got seriously injured and lost time from work or whatever. So they represent those kind of cases. So when they realized that I only had superficial wounds, they said, I can't represent you. And I said, even though I have a lot of mental now struggle, and they said that doesn't count, it's only physical injuries. So I'm very upset the way people just discount, they don't include mental, that's not right. And people think mental illness or depression is something that you can just snap out of. That is not the case. I lost my mom to depression. She was paranoid, schizophrenic. I lost my dad to depression and alcoholism. I lost a cousin to depression, and then unfortunately he shot himself to death. I lost my nephew, 26, to opioid addiction. So there definitely is a lot of people who struggle with mental illness, and unfortunately society doesn't really focus on that, and it is an epidemic, and even young kids are facing that with bullying, kids being bullied and then they can't handle that. And now with computers and internet, not only are you being bullied in the school, but now you're being bullied online. And unfortunately, some of these poor kids committed suicide, and it's just horrendous, I don't know why this happens, Amanda Todd, I watched the video on YouTube and I was so brokenhearted. She had one of her songs in the video hours before she committed suicide with Jimmy Eat World's I forgot the title, but it's a sad, very sad song based on a Weezer incident where one of the two girls, I think they were sisters, were like roadies to Weezer, and they would invite up-and-coming musicians to stay at their houses because they weren't familiar with the areas where they were performing. So they were not only tremendous fans of Weezer, but they also helped musicians. Oh, Hear You Me, that's the song by Jimmy Eat World, Hear You Me. And it's a very sad song. But that song was made, Jimmy Eat World have a good friendship with the band members of Weezer, and that was their tribute song. Every time I hear it, I get sad and misty-eyed. But, tragedies happen. And these kids who are bullied suffer immensely. And cyberbullied, bullied at school, how can you take that? If somebody's gay and they are dealing with that and people in high school find out, that could be torture for a young male or female. And there have been instances where they committed suicide. 15 years old, 16, another girl, Maddie Yates, and there's so many others, so that's very sad. And I get caught up in this because I'm very sensitive, and there were times when I also wanted to just give up, but I had a good family. My sisters were kind of on their own, and we really didn't talk much, so basically I was like an only child. I was the only boy in the family, aside from my dad. But I had my two sisters, my mom was sick a lot. My dad worked hard, so he would fall asleep after he ate, basically, because he had to be up at 4 a.m. every day for work. So I really grew up with not really much interaction with my family. But I do have some good memories when my mom would sit down with me in the dining room and help me with my math problems. She was very helpful to me. And my parents were very overprotective of me, and I was hiding a secret. But I believe my mom and dad found out, but I never talked to them about it. But they had to find out. Life is not easy. It's complicated, and I'm worried about my son, God forbid I died in that accident recently. That would have been horrendous, or God forbid I died in January when I overdosed on my medication. So these things, you don't know. So, and I have to take care of all the the paperwork. I have a life insurance policy that would protect my wife and son. And my burial costs, God forbid I died. These are serious issues, and I'm not getting any younger. I'm 58 now, and this is why doing the surgery is important to me, because if I don't do it now, chances are I won't do it, and this is going to be the 5th attempt, I've been in hospitals, that's why it was postponed. The last time I was going to have surgery, I was going to have it with the best of the best. Dr. Marcy Bowers was going to be doing the surgery, along with Dr. Jess Ting from Mount Sinai, and Dr. Purohit from Mount Sinai. But I had to cancel out because I had tried to detransition for my son, and it turned out to be a total nightmare for me. For 2 weeks, I couldn't handle it. I had to stop wearing dresses, and then I had to wear baggy men's shirts and baggy pants, and I was so depressed. I had a short haircut. I didn't look like a woman anymore. So it was painfully depressing, but I was trying to do right by my son, and I feel guilty, but look, I'm transgender. I was born this way. I'm not making excuses. I knew when I was 3 that was the case. It's not like I just say, oh, I want to be a girl. It's not like that. People are ignorant. They think, oh, why do you want to be a girl? It makes no sense. But if you're transgender, that means your body and your mind don't work together. There's some disconnect. Your mind is telling you you're a female, but your body says you're a male, and you can't reconcile the two. So the only way you can deal with it, because this is life long for me at least, and for many that I've met, It's lifelong, whether you're male to female transgender or you're female to male transgender. And I'm friends with both. And actually my best friend happens to be female to male transgender. Um, but it's very difficult to have to go through with that. When I was growing up, I avoided people. I couldn't talk to people. And that's why Coach kind of saved me, because I wanted to kill myself basically when I was in high school, because I couldn't deal with this. And then luckily Coach recruited me for the cross-country team, and it happened in the weirdest of places, on the school lunch line. He just came up to me and said, "Do you want to run with me, with my team?" And I said, "But I don't have any experience." And he said, "Don't worry, we'll teach you how to run." And thank God that he did that, because I was really hell-bent on overdosing on aspirin. I wanted to kill myself. But because he asked me to run, and I met him after school, and he fit me with a uniform, and he said, "You're gonna run for me," and I was so happy that I was gonna be part of something. So, things happen for a reason, And now, 40 years later, we're still in touch with each other. We had a beautiful party, a picnic for Coach. Got to meet high school runners that I knew 40 years ago and haven't seen since, or maybe a handful through Facebook. And I know one I went out a couple of times with, who still lives local. But it was a great occasion. Not all of our teammates could make it, and some disappeared off the radar screen. And I've asked about those people, and some say, "Yeah, I've heard like 10 years ago so-and-so was doing this." And one of my friends who I wanted to get some information on, because I couldn't find him on Facebook, was Jay Gottesman. We were good friends, and I found out that he's a medical doctor. I knew he was smart, so I knew he was going to do well in life, and he was a dedicated runner too. I also have Ira Myers as a friend, and he's one of the best podiatrists. Timmy Canover is an attorney and has political aspirations. Teddy Canover is a media journalist, and he has a podcast. Barbara Davis is big in the real estate industry, and she was the only female on our team, cross country and track. Rich Kogan lives in Ohio, and I think he's like a businessman, but I'm not sure. Kenny Eisenbahn, he's like an entrepreneur. He owns shops, I think even a bagel store, where he did. I met a guy who was very nice. I didn't really get to talk to him, but we shook hands, and we talked a little bit. Eddie Lenahan, but I don't remember when he graduated. Scott Carlin, another friend of mine, who I've seen a couple of times. We went to a movie. He's a professor, I believe, at CW Post. And I'm hoping I mentioned all the runners that I saw. But it was a great experience. I even met some of their spouses and girlfriends, got to talk to them. So it was fun, and I need to have things like that. And now with the 40-year high school reunion coming up, I would like to participate. But if I have surgery on September 10th, it's going to be impossible for me to make the reunion. I wish I could, but I don't think it will be possible. Plus, I don't have a car right now. I'm hoping that I will be able to get a car, and still maintain my insurance currently with the company, and that they don't drop me or raise my rates to a point where I can't afford it. So there's a lot of factors involved. And I'm also trying to help my son as best I can. And I'm kind of depressed because it looks like he's going to have to go into a group home, which I don't have a problem with. But the reality is I'm sad, I'm heartbroken because I wanted so much for my son, and it's like, what can I do? I have to look out for his best interests, and I need to speak to an attorney to protect his Social Security money. And just trying to carry on with my life. I have some good friends, Facebook friends. I have a couple of friends I hang out with, and they accept me, I don't feel uncomfortable going out in a dress, and at 51 when I came out, I thought I would never come out, but unfortunately in the wake of my dad's suicide 2 years earlier, and then my best friend that I met while I was working at a CPA firm, he was the bookkeeper. We became good friends, even beyond our professional association with each other. And we would go out to lunch. Actually, he was the only one that I had a working relationship with as a client and a professional relationship with a client. He was the only one that I ever had lunch with. And we would go for Chinese food, or we would get fish and chips, and we had fun. And then at Christmas time we would exchange presents. And then I had left the CPA firm where I was working almost 10 years. I took a job at one of their clients because I got burnt out working too many tax seasons, and my son having all his problems. So I needed to get away from that because I couldn't handle the 60 to 70 hour work weeks during tax season. I just couldn't deal with that anymore. And I wasn't able to spend time with my son. So I said I had to get out of here. And I asked him if the partner could help me find a job with one of their clients, and he did. So I was working for this firm in Bohemia, like an engineering firm. And then I found out about my friend Moses. He was 40 and he died in his sleep. They said it was sleep apnea, and I was devastated. I went to his funeral, his wake, I mean. He was cremated. So I went to the wake, and it was heartbreaking, and he had a little girl, and she was like 3 years old, and his wife, she was a beautiful woman. They met when they were in elementary school, and they loved each other and kept together in touch through the years, and then they married, and they have a little baby girl. She's now about, she was 3 back then. He died in 2010, so she would be 9 years old now. And it's just sad when I went to the wake, and then, I had to do something for the baby because we used to exchange gifts. So I bought dolls and Beanie Babies and pretty dress and things like that. And I went to the funeral director and I said, can you see that Moses' wife gets this because it's for her daughter? And he said, yes, we'll make sure. And that was it. I said goodbye to Moses, I said a prayer, and then I went and hugged his wife and gave the little baby girl a kiss on her cheek. And I even kissed the mother. And I said, I'm so sorry. Moses was one of my best friends. And I broke down emotionally because my father's passing, suicide, Moses was the first one to reach out to me. And he was devastated when he found out, especially that my father committed suicide. And he literally was the very first friend to reach out to me, because people generally don't know what to say. They kind of avoid you, but not Moses. Moses got on the phone and he called me when he found out, like the day after it happened. And we spoke for like an hour and a half on the phone, and he lives in Connecticut. And it was like something that I really needed. He assured me that if I needed anything or needed to talk in the middle of the night, he'd be there for me. And we were friends on Facebook. We would text each other, exchange music videos because we were into music. And he taught me a lot of groups that I never heard of. He taught me about Keen, an English band. He taught me about Vampire Weekend. He taught me about a lot of bands. I just can't remember all the names because he was really into music. And because he told me about these bands, I checked them out on YouTube, and then I became fans of those bands as well. But he's gone. So I was, my dad died in 2009, 10 years ago, and Moses died in 2011. And I remember it was shortly after I came back from a Paris trip, which I happened to be leaving from the airport on September 11th, 2011. So that was kind of creepy. 10-year anniversary of flying on an airplane of one of the worst terrorist attacks in our country, aside from Pearl Harbor. And, well, that was an act of war. This was also an act of war, but it was terrorism. And, when I found out and I went to the wake and I had to say goodbye to him and to his family, it was devastating. And then I went into a complete denial. I didn't want to believe that he died. I didn't want to believe that my dad committed suicide. Well, my mom died many, many, many years earlier, decades earlier, to mental illness and depression. So I just isolated myself. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Plus I was dealing with my own transgender issues and my son's autism. And it just came to me where I started thinking, like, what am I doing with my life, I'm 50. My mom died at age 50. And I said, I gotta do something, And I wasn't very aggressive in my career. I didn't climb the corporate ladder. I basically made lateral moves from one place to another. So my salary wasn't really reflective of my knowledge because I held myself back due to my shyness, insecurities, low self-esteem, and possibly because I'm transgender and depressed. So I went to get help. I went to, after seeing on a website, someone recommended Callan Wood. So I went there and I said, I'm wanting to transition from male to female, and the doctor really didn't believe me at first. And then when she saw I was dressed in women's clothes underneath my male business attire, she got it. And she promised me that if I'm really serious about it, she would start me on hormones. 3 months, after 3 months deciding. And that's when she realized that I was really serious about it. And she became a good source for me because she knew what I was going through. She's worked with many transgender patients, so she knew, and she realized that I was not joking around. So she put me on estradiol, which is estrogen for women, and she put me on spironolactone, which is a testosterone blocker. And I've been taking it now for 7 years. And basically I came out on Facebook and to some of my family at the age of, well, I came out in 2012, June, when I started going on hormones. And so we're now in August, it's 2019, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 7 years now. So I've been living as a woman full time now for 7 years, and I'm 58. And I wanted surgery when I was 16. Thankfully I didn't have it because I love my son too much. So, I'm very happy about that. But I could never give up this thing in my head that I was trans. It just kept coming back to the way I dressed, even though it was in secret. And it was difficult for me emotionally. I wanted to die rather than live the male existence. So when I started on the hormones and things started to change, I experienced positive change. And that's when I started to feel better about my situation, even though I still have the same problems. But physically, I felt more happier, and I'm looking more feminine. So now people address me as a female, which makes me happy. The only time that I get misgendered is on telephone calls. I did have vocal cord surgery and it was successful, but I couldn't afford the voice lessons. And it was recommended that I go every other week. And it was $65, and I'm doing electrolysis for $70. And I had to do that once a week, so I didn't have, and then I'm going to therapists and I'm making co-payments. So it's expensive to transition. The only thing now that is more helpful is that insurance companies, as of now, are required to cover the surgery for male to female and for female to male. The only thing I'm worried about is if I don't do the surgery now, by September, who knows what Trump's gonna do. He may say no more insurance coverage is no longer necessary for transgender surgeries, just like he banned transgenders from the military. He may say medical insurance companies do not now cover for the transgender surgeries. And if that's the case, it's going to hurt the whole transgender community. And that's why I hate him with a passion. But I don't want to talk about him because he only gets me really angry. So I'm trying my best to deal with all this. Now I'm hoping I can drive again. I'm hoping I can get my son properly situated. And I'm hoping that this surgery, hopefully it will go through. Insurance will approve it. all my paperwork will be in and insurance will cover it, and that I have a successful surgery and a successful recovery, and I hope that I'm able to drive again and help my son as best I can and move forward with my life. I still love my wife, I love my son, you know, I'm not looking to break up, I'm not looking to meet a guy or whatever, I'm not looking for any of that. I just want to be me, how I felt, you know, I'm not trying to do this to start trying to find a boyfriend. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to find my happiness. And even after surgery, it's not going to change my problems. It's not going to make me all of a sudden feel like I can take on the world. I'm still going to be shy. I'm still going to be awkward. I'm still going to have difficulty trying to get back into the workforce. I'm still going to have worries about the mortgage. So surgery is good to finally be whole as a person, how you identify, but it's not going to change my problems. You know, I'm smart enough to know that, but I still want to go forward with the surgery, and hopefully it will be successful, which I have no doubt. I have a good doctor, and he's very knowledgeable, and he's very experienced, and he learned from Dr. Morsi Bowers and Dr. Jess Ting, so it should be good. And then I just have to get used to the maintenance, you know, and then I'll have to do that for the rest of my life. And hygiene I have to be concerned about. So that's about it. I just hope it all works out. I hope I get a car and able to drive, and I can afford my insurance, because I'm very upset with my mortgage, because my monthly payments now for my mortgage went up $300 a month more, and that's $300 that I don't have anymore, because now it's going into my mortgage, and I'm really upset about that. And I'm very upset with the Republicans and Trump, because they took away my personal exemptions, and to add insult to injury, they limited the state tax and the real estate tax to $10,000 max. And last year, between the state that my wife paid through her paycheck and the real estate taxes that I paid, my payment for real estate was roughly $14,000. And the state tax taken from my wife's pay was about $2,000. So you're talking about $16,000 total, and I can only take 10 now. So I lose $6,000. What kind of tax break is that for the middle class? That's insane. How could they even get away with doing that? And taking away my personal exemptions. And they say, oh, this is going to be better for everybody. We're going to double the standard deduction. My foot double the standard deduction. I was a CP. I worked 30 years in that profession. They are so full of it. Double the standard. Yeah, you're doubling the standard, maybe, but you're taking away the exemptions, and you're taking away the real estate tax total deduction between state and real estate tax. And that is an outrage, a complete outrage. And I am so upset about that. And now, to add insult to injury, now I'm paying $300 additionally a month because of it. And I'm not even going to get the benefit with itemizing my deductions because of this moron in the White House. You know, and if he's back for 4 more years, I don't want to be here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just want to get the fuck out. And I have to leave the United States because I can't deal with him and another 4 years of his bullshit. Forget that. Logically, where can I go? Well, I have citizenship. Well, I can become a citizen of Ireland because my mom's parents were born in Ireland and they came to this country. So because they were born in Ireland on my mother's side, I can become a citizen of Ireland. It's a lot of paperwork, but I'm gonna try and see. But you know, it's not like you sell your house and you can get up and go to Ireland. It's a lot of planning. Plus, I don't even know how much it costs to live in Ireland. And I'm sure lots of people want to go to Canada. I would consider Canada, but I don't know their immigration rules either. Logically, Canada would be one of my first choices, or Ireland, but that all remains to be seen. Hopefully he won't win this next term, but if he does, it's going to be a nightmare, and I'm getting the fuck out of this country because I can't deal with his bullshit anymore. And I don't know how anybody could support this guy. He's a fucking idiot, and he doesn't deserve to be in the White House. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. And I didn't mean for this video to end on that, so I'll try to say something positive. I am looking forward to the 40-year high school reunion. I'm hoping that I can go. And if I can't, I'll do a little, I'm not going to be dramatic. I'll do a little video, maybe 5 minutes, maybe less, wishing everybody the best. Hopefully they're able to make it. I wish them good luck and have fun. And I say I wish I could attend, but I can't. And that's it. And then also the ones who can't attend, if I'm unable to attend, I'm sure there will be lots of others that will not be able to attend. I will wish them well as also. And one thing, if I was able to go to the reunion, the 40-year, I know for a fact, being that I'm sensitive, it will be hard for me to have to deal with the fact that some of our classmates have already passed away. And I don't like those kind of conversations where we're talking about people that we once knew who are now gone. And I went through that depression because before I graduated high school, I lost one of my best friends, Scott, in a horrible car accident. And I was never the same. He was my first friend that I knew of who died, and in a horrible car accident. That's why this car accident that I was in haunts me. I still have the visions of this accident. And my friend, I survived it, but my poor friend, he didn't. And he lost out on life. I've been living 40 additional years that Scott never got a chance to live. And that is so sad. So whenever I'm not feeling so good, it's not a good thing, but I think about my friend, poor Scott, realizing that he never really got a chance to live his life. And then I said, maybe my life isn't so bad, because I'm still here. I have a family. I have friends. I've lived a good part of my life, whereas my friend Scott did not have that opportunity. And I don't know for the life of me why some of us die tragically at young ages and why some of us live to be 103. I will never figure that out. Or why some people die in airplane crashes and others win $100 million lotteries. It's like the luck of the draw, fate. I never figure it out. And I'm not going to try All I know is I gotta try to figure out my own life and do the best that I can, despite the fact that I'm having lots of problems mentally, emotionally, and I want the best for my son. I want successful outcome, and that's it. And by the way, do you like this? My hat with the dress? Does it look nice? I love it. I think it looks so cool. Girls, what do you think? Let me know. Guys too, if you want to share your own 2 cents. If you've had the patience to follow this video. Sometimes I get long-winded with my videos, but it helps me. It's like therapy for me, It's not like talking to a psychiatrist or a therapist, but it's therapy for me, and it's constructive. And I try not to say bad things. I apologize for the cursing. I generally don't curse, but sometimes I get very emotional about things, and if I feel I have to curse, I will. But I don't do that as a general rule. So I'm not trying to offend any of you. You may not even watch the whole video, so you may not even hear it. But for those who have the patience to sit through an hour video, I apologize. I love you all. I wish you the best. And